Hello and welcome to Tabletop Oddity. My name is Jay, and today FFG have done the preview article for Sabine Wren. We already knew she was coming, of course, but this just shows us everything. So all of the command cards, her upgrades, all that kind of stuff. We get to have a proper look at it. So we'll have a brief chat about her in a moment. If though at the end of the video you like the video, press like, and if you've not subscribed to the channel yet, please consider doing so, as it really does help. So yes, Sabine. I can never remember what gets announced and what comes later, so do forgive me. So we're just going to go through the whole thing because I can't remember what was discussed and if we had a good clear picture of it and stuff like that. Well, this is her card. She's 125 points. Jump 2, move 3, which I've spoke about, I think could sort of impact the game quite significantly if we were talking about the range 4 kind of meta. She's got Gunslinger, which is going to become very important when we have a look at the Darksaber and how maybe it's a contradictory kind of thing to have with her. But Gunslinger is the hand ability. Once you shoot one unit, you can shoot another. She's got red defense dice surges both on the attack to crit and on the defense. Impervious, so she's going to like Boba Fett, if you've got Pierce against her, she's going to be a little bit better at saving it. It is essentially the best save in the game. Nimble, that if you do have a dodge, she gets to take another dodge. Her weapons by default aren't that great, 2 black, and her shooting weapon is like 1 of each. At range 1 to 2, PS1, which I think very similar to Krennic's dice, but I think Krennic's is Krennic's range 3? I'm not sure, but on the range, very similar to that. And the fact that she doesn't have something like Sharpshooter means that could be a little bit difficult to get off. She'll have to catch them in the open. However, she's moved 3 with jump 2, so pretty maneuverable. And there was one card that we were very interested in seeing because she does come with the immobilized token and the shield token. So there was definitely one card we wanted to see, and that was this. Which when I saw this, that it was just this upgrade, I was like, oh my god! And then I realized it's Sabine Wren only. Basically, she gets it's an exhaustible card, but she can immobilize a unit. 5 points. Yeah, you could whack that on her just even if you don't recover to get it back. Although she has a command card that lets her recover. So she might get to use that twice for 5 points. It could become super important, like near an objective against a Luke, something like that. So yeah, I think that's all right. I think that's pretty decent. She also has the personal combat shield against Sabine only, which basically we've already seen this before, I think, but shielded 1, and then when you recover, you get to recharge that shield, and basically it adds a block result to the defense roll, so a guaranteed block. 10 points, yeah, you might get 2 blocks off. That could save you 2 wounds with the best save in the game. I'm not sure necessarily that that's all that great, but I've been wrong many times before. We'll go through the command cards properly in a minute. The Darksaber is her weapon that gives her Dauntless and of course immune to Pierce, which I think could be the most important thing about that. But it is only in melee, but still it's pretty decent. Impact 1, Pierce 1, 5 black dice, pretty good melee attack all round, pretty good melee attack. But that melee attack, to me, if you're in melee, you can't use Gunslinger. But then her melee isn't that great unless you take that, and her range isn't that great unless you take that. I think she's going to be really pretty strong. I just think the use of her might be a little bit tricky. Like, you're probably going to want to jump, pop off some units out of cover, and then maybe single move into an enemy and then attack, because you're not going to be able to double move because she doesn't have charge. So I think, yeah, for sure, there's definitely room for her to be a great character commander. Well, she's an operative, but she's sort of slightly contradictory, which I don't necessarily mind. I think you then have to use her correctly, which is jump, shoot out of cover, and if you take the Darksaber, then jump into a combat. So yeah, I think move 3 and jump 2 is going to be really strong anyway. It does also show you endurance, which I think we've pretty much seen, but the fact that this is a training upgrade, there might be another case where you might want to whack that on a different unit. I can't necessarily think who off the top of my head, but 6 points feels like it might be a little bit on the high side. She also has Symbol of the Rebellion, which is her 2-pip, which we'd see, and it's basically she can place a graffiti token on within range 1 and line of sight of a non-area terrain piece of terrain, and then that essentially lets people roll an extra rally dice when they rally. That makes sense. So if they had 2 suppression, they get to roll 3. Because they're in range and they can see it, etc. It's alright, symbolic, no pun intended, but thematic at least, so that's pretty okay with that. Explosions. I think this has the potential to be really strong. The fact that she could plant 2 of these bombs right in the middle of a big densely packed unit. I was watching TTS and somebody played Bosk with the poison one, and it absolutely just wrecked face. So you could really do a lot of damage with that. Red dice across like blast, so it's ignoring cover. No pierce, but you know, whatever. You could end up with 2, 3, 4, 5 units getting hit by that. I think that's solid. I think that's a very solid play. So you could essentially move, shoot. Next turn, maybe move into combat. Maybe drop them on your way in. Yeah, I could dig it. She could be very impactful. And her 3-pip. Now, yes, I didn't mention this at the start, but really, this is the most interesting part about this. It's the fact that these are some Mandalorians. And yes, obviously, it's Legacy of the Mandalore. But if you look at the back, they've got jump troopers there. I'm sure these guys probably have special names. Like, I don't know, like, that guy looks like he's got like he's in a sniper pose. I think this essentially all but confirms that we'll get a Mandalorian unit at some point for the rebellion. At least you've got to think so. If it's more than that, like a sub-faction or what have you, we'll see. But the card itself, we'll talk about that. It's Sabine and 2 troopers, quite good for an operative. She gains Inspire 1 just by default. And when she issues an order to a character or an operative or a special forces unit, which maybe those jump troopers in the back could be, she's going to gain an aim token and a dodge token. Pretty decent. Yeah, pretty decent. And that's pretty much everything. I mean, you can see a model there, pretty nice looking stuff. Her 3D render, also pretty nice. I like the fact this is the first model, I think, with like alternate bits, so you can swap her head, swap her weapons, and that kind of stuff. All in all, I think Sabine's got significant potential to change the game up for the Rebels. Speed 3 is fantastic, jump 2 fantastic, and then yeah, she's like a Swiss Army knife, but that's sort of like what Boba's life like. You do a variety of different things. You don't just do one thing particularly well. You need to be moving, shooting, getting into combat, blowing people up, that kind of stuff. I think a really good player could really like wreck face with Sabine. So I'm pretty happy with the way she is. Let me know your thoughts. Are you happy to what you've seen? She's excites me in many ways, if I'm honest. And I don't mean that way, but she excites me just with her speed and with like a Swiss Army like knife kind of utility stuff that she's going to bring to the game. So yes, she's coming. Let me just double check. I'm pretty sure she's coming this month, right? She's like due next week with Bosk, I think. So we'll have a Bosk article soon, I believe. Yeah, so let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Blah, 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 blah. Yada, yada, yada. That sort of sounds like I forgot what I was saying. Just have a most beautiful day. It's because I was trying to find the stop recording button. Goodbye.